Leviticus 14. The Lord spoke to Moses. This is a law concerning the person afflicted with a skin disease on the day of his cleansing. He is to be brought to the priest, who will go outside the camp and examine him. If the skin disease has disappeared from the afflicted person, the priest will order that 2 live clean birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop be brought for the one who is to be cleansed. Then the priest will order that one of the birds be slaughtered over the fresh water in a clay pot. He is to take the wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop, and dip them all into the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water. He will then sprinkle the blood 7 times on the one who is to be cleansed from the skin disease. He is to pronounce him clean and release the live bird over the open countryside. The one who is to be cleansed must wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and bathe with the water. He is clean afterwards. He may enter the camp, but he must remain outside his tent for 7 days. He is also to shave off all his hair again. In the 7th day, his head, his beard, his eyebrows, and the rest of his hair. He is to wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. He is clean. On the 8th day he must take 2 unblemished male lambs, an unblemished year-old ewe lamb, a grain offering for 6 quarts of fine flour mixed with olive oil, and 1/3 of quart of olive oil. The priest who performs the cleansing will place the person who is to be cleansed together with these offerings before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest is to take 1 male lamb and present it as a guilt offering along with the 1/3 quart of olive oil, and he will present them as a presentation offering before the Lord. He is to slaughter the male lamb at the place in the sanctuary area where the sin offering and burnt offerings are slaughtered, for like the sin offering, the guilt offering belongs to the priest. It is especially holy. The priest is to take some of the blood from the guilt offering and put it on the lobe of right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest will take some of the 1/3 quart of olive oil and pour it on his left palm. The priest will dip his right finger into the oil in his left palm and sprinkle some of the oil with his fingers 7 times before the Lord. From the olive remaining in his palm, the priest will put some on the lobe on the right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on top of the blood of the guilt offering. What is left of the oil in the priest's palm, he is to put in the head of one to be cleansed. In this way, the priest will make an atonement for him before the Lord. The priest is to sacrifice the sin offering and make atonement for the one to be cleansed from his uncleanness. Afterwards he will slaughter the burnt offering. The priest is to offer the burnt offering and the grain offering on the altar. The priest will make atonement for him and will be clean. But if he is poor and cannot afford these, he is to take one male lamb for a guilt offering to be presented in order to make atonement for him, along with 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with olive oil. For grain offering, 1/3 of quart of olive oil, and 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons. Whatever he can afford, one to be a sin offering, and the other a burnt offering. On the 8th day he is to bring these things for his cleansing to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting before the Lord. The priest will take the male lamb for the guilt offering and 1/3 quart of olive oil, and present them as a presentation offering before the Lord. After he slaughters the male lamb for the guilt offering, the priest is to take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on a right earlobe of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest will pour some of the oil into his left palm with his right finger. Priest will sprinkle some of the oil in his left palm 7 times for the Lord. The priest will also put some of the olive in his palm on the right earlobe of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the same place as the blood of the guilt offering. What is left of the oil in the priest's palm, he is to put on the head of the one to be cleansed to make atonement for him before the Lord. He is to then sacrifice one type of what he can afford, either the turtle dove or young pigeon, one as a sin offering and other as a burnt offering sacrifice. What he can afford, together with a grain of offering in his way. In this way the priest will make anointment before the Lord for the one to be cleansed. This is a law for someone who has a skin disease and cannot afford the cost of his cleansing. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, when you enter the land of Canaan that I am giving you as possession, and I place mildew, contamination in a house in the land you possess. The owner of the house is to come and tell the priest something like mildew. The contamination has appeared in my house. The priest must order them to clear the house before entering the examine to the contamination, so that nothing in the house becomes unclean. Afterwards, the priest will come to examine the house. He will examine it, and if the contamination in the walls of the house consists of green or red indications that appears to be beneath the surface of the walls, the priest is to go outside the house to its doorway and quarantine the house for 7 days. The priest is to return on the 7th day and examine it. If the contamination has spread to the walls of the house, the priest must order that the stones with the contamination be pulled out and thrown into an unclean place outside the city. He is to have the inside of the house completely scraped and have the plaster that is scraped off dumped in the unclean place outside the city. Then they are to take different stones to replace the former one and take additional plaster to replaster the house. If the contamination reappears in the house after the stones have been pulled out, and after the house has been escaped and scrapped and replaced, the priest is to come and examine it. If the contamination has spread in the house, it is harmful mildew. The house is unclean. It must be torn down with its stones, its beams, and all its plaster, and take outside the city to the unclean place. Whoever enters the house during any of the days during any of the days the priest quarantines it will be unclean until evening. Whoever lies down in the house is to wash his clothes, and whoever eats in it is to wash his clothes. But when the priest comes and examines it, if the contamination has not spread in the house after it was replaced, he is to pronounce the house clean, because the contamination has disappeared. He is to take 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop, to purify the house, and is slaughtered one of the birds over a clay pot containing fresh water. He will take the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet and antlet yarn, and the live bird, dip them in the blood of the slaughtered bird and fresh water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. He will purify the house with the blood of the bird, the fresh water, the live bird, the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn. Then he is to release the live bird into the open countryside outside the city. In this way he will make atonement for the house, and it will be clean. This is the law of any skin disease or mildew, for a scaly outbreak, for mildew in clothing or on a house, and for swelling, scab, or spot, to determine when something is unclean or clean. This is a law regarding skin disease and mildew.
Leviticus 15. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when any man has a discharge from his member, he is unclean. This is uncleanness of his discharge, whether his member secretes the discharge or the retain it. He is unclean. All the days that his members secrets or retrains anything because of his discharge, he is unclean. Any bed the man with the discharge lies on will be unclean, and any furniture he sits on will be unclean. Anyone who touches his bed is to wash his clothes and bath with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Whoever sits on furniture that the man with the discharge was sitting on is to wash his clothes and bath in water and he will remain unclean until evening. Whoever touches the body of the man with the discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge spits on anyone who is clean. He is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Any saddle the man with the discharge rides on will be unclean. Whoever touches anything that was under him will be unclean until evening, and whoever carries such things is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. If the man with the discharge touches anyone without first rinsing his hands in the water, the person who has touched is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot that the man with the discharge touches must be broken, while any wooden utensils is to be rinsed with water. When the man with the discharge has been cured of it, he is to count 7 days for his cleaning. Wash his clothes and bathe his body in fresh water. He will be clean. He must take 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons on the 8th day, come before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and give them to the priest. The priest is to sacrifice them as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him before the Lord, because he is discharged. When a man has an emission of semen, he is to bathe himself completely with water, and he will remain clean until evening. Any clothing or leather on which there is an emission is semen is to be washed with water, and it will remain unclean until evening. If a man sleeps with a woman and has an emission of semen, both of them are to bathe with water, and they will remain unclean until evening. When a woman has a discharge and is conscious of blood from her body, she will be unclean because of her menstruation. For 7 days everyone who touches her will be unclean until evening. Anything she lies on during her menstruation will become unclean, and anything she sits on will become unclean. Everyone who touches her bed is to wash his clothes and bathe in water, and he will remain unclean until evening. Everyone who touches any furniture she was sitting on is to wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain unclean until evening. If discharge is on the bed or the furniture she was sitting when he touches it, he will be unclean until evening. If a man sleeps with her and blood from her menstruation gets on him, he will be unclean for 7 days, and every bed he lies on will become unclean. When a woman has a discharge of her blood for many days, though it is not the time of her menstruation, or if she has a discharge beyond her period, she will be unclean all the days of her unclean discharge, as she is during the days of her menstruation. Any bed she lies on during the day of her discharge will be like her bed during the menstrual impurity. Any furniture she sits on will be unclean, as in her menstrual period. Everyone who touches them will be unclean. He must wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he will remain clean until evening. When she is cured of her discharge, she is to count 7 days, and after that she will be clean. On the 8th day she must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and bring them to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest is to sacrifice one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. In this way, the priest will make anointment for her before the Lord. Because of her unclean discharge, you must keep the Israelites from their uncleanness so that they do not die by defying my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law for someone with a discharge. A man who has an emission of semen becoming unclean by it. A woman who is in her menstrual period, anyone who has a discharge, whether male or female, and a man who sleeps with a woman who is unclean. Leviticus 16. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of 2 of Aaron's sons, when they approached the presence of the Lord and died. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell your brother Aaron that he may not come whenever he wants to the holy place behind the curtain in front of the mercy seat on the ark, or else he will die, because I appear in the clouds above the mercy seat." Aaron is to enter the most holy place in this way, with a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He is to wear a holy linen tunic and linen undergarments are to be on his body. He is to tie a linen sash around him and wrap his head with a linen turban. With these are holy garments. He must bathe his body with water before he wears them. He is to ask the Israelite community 2 male goats for sin offering and 1 ram for burnt offering. Aaron will present a bull for his sin offering and make atonement for himself and his household. Next, he will take the 2 goats and place them before the Lord in the entrance of the tent of meeting. After Aaron casts lots for 2 goats, one lot for the Lord and the other for an uninhabited place. He is to present the goat chosen for the land, but sacrifice it as a sin offering. But the goat chosen not for an uninhabited place is to be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement with it by sending it with the wilderness for an uninhabited place. When Aaron presents the bull for his sin offering and makes anointment for himself and his household, he will slaughter the bull for his sin offering. Then he is to take a fire pan full of blazing coal from the altar before the Lord, and 2 handfuls of finely ground fragrance incense, and bring them inside the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before the Lord, so that he could be incense covered the mercy seat that is over the testimony, or else he will die. He is to take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his fingers against the east side of the mercy seat. Then he will sprinkle some of the blood with his finger before the mercy seat 7 times. When he slaughters the male goat for the people's sin offering and bring its blood inside the curtain, he will do the same with its blood as he did with the bull's blood. He is to sprinkle it against the mercy seat and in front of it. He will make anointment for the most holy place in this way for all their sins because of the Israelites' impurities and reprobation acts. He will do the same for the tent of meeting that remains among them, because it is surrounded by their impurities. No one may be in the tent of meeting from the time he enters to make anointment in the most holy place until he leaves. After he has made anointment for himself, his household, and the whole assembly for Israel, then he will go out to the altar that is before the Lord and make anointment for it. He is to take some of the bull blood and some of the goat's blood, and put it on the horns on all sides of the altar. He is to sprinkle some of the blood with his fingers 7 times to cleanness, and set it apart from the Israelites' impurities. When he has finished making anointment for the most holy place, his tent of meeting and the altar, he is to present the live male goat. Aaron will lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the Israelites' iniquities and reprobation act. All their sins he is to put them on the goat's head and send it away into the wilderness by the man appointed for the task. The goat will carry all their iniquities and into a desolate land, and the man will release it there. Then Aaron is to enter the tent of meeting, take off the linen garment he wore when he entered the most holy place, and leave them here. He will bathe with his body with water in the holy place, but put his clothes. Then he must go out and sacrifice his burnt offering and the people's burnt offering. He will make anointment for himself and for the people. He is to burn the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man who released the goat for an uninhabited place is to wash his clothes and bathe his body with water. Afterward he may return into the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose both blood was brought into the most holy place to make anointment, just be brought outside and camp, and their hide, flesh, and waste burned. The one who burns them is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. Afterward he may return to camp. This is to be permanent state of you for you. In the 17th month, on the 10th day of the month, you are to practice self-denial and do not work. Both the native and the aliens who raised among you, atonement will be made for you on this day to cleanse you, and you will be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It is a Sabbath of complete rest for you, and you must practice self-denial. It is a permanent state to the priest who is anointed or ordained to serve as high priests in place of his father will make anointment. He will put in the linen garment, the holy garment, and make atonement for the most holy place. He will make anointment for the tent of meeting and the altar. He will bring anointment for the priests and all the people on the Sabbath day. This is to be prepared statute for you is to make anointment for the Israelites once a year because of all their sins. And all this was done as the Lord commanded Moses.